Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devam Gauravan Pracharami Nirvisesa Sunnivari Paskya Chati Shatarami. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and to the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So today I want to talk about affection for Krishna and developing affection, having affection for Krishna in a particular way that Krishna comes to you, and how that, why that affection is so important. Actually, affection for Krishna, we can read in the Shastras, the literatures, especially the ones that Srila Prabhupada has given us, the authorized Gaudiya Vedanta literature, and there we read the descriptions of affection for Krishna that different devotees have. The Pandavas, Prahlad Maharaj, Bali Maharaj, Narada Muni. We can see in Rupa Goswami, Radha, Rani, Rukmini, on and on and on, and so many multitudes of descriptions of these devotees who have achieved and have achieved affection for Krishna. So the affection that a pure devotee has is unwavering. It actually is what is described in the Nectar of Devotion as being very thick, and it doesn't waver. It's not just here today and then gone tomorrow, because it blossoms, it radiates throughout his entire being. And and devotees on that caliber are actually immersed in a particular ras with Krishna. Now, this is, in fact, what we are seeking as devotees of the Lord. This awakening of a relationship with Krishna in a particular ras, or having the vision of the Lord in our mind and heart on a somewhat constant basis, is actually the summum bonum, the goal of Krishna consciousness. Really important to reflect on that point. And to those of us that think that this is probably too difficult, never going to achieve it, haven't achieved it yet, probably never going to have it, I'm too fallen, etc., etc. Actually, this type of realization is a gift coming from Krishna and Prabhupada. And I believe all we really have to do to achieve that, and I don't mean to minimize it, is to follow the rules and regulations of Bhakti Yoga, specifically and most predominantly chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Oops, there it is. Every single day, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now, that is quite important, because what is not apparent to us today can be apparent to us tomorrow. There comes a point where Krishna opens up the floodgates. He opens up the doors of bhakti to his disciples, to his devotees, and reveals himself. And this comes through calling out Krishna's name. It is that potent, that powerful, that amazing. And when that happens, when actual bhakti takes effect in the heart, and one develops genuine affection for Krishna, where tears come to his eyes, where he has a real strong interest in the pastimes of the Lord, where he envisions the form of the Lord in his mind. When he chants, he thinks of the Lord. He desires to make offerings to the Lord, and and offer food to Krishna. He wants Krishna to be happy. He wants Krishna to be satisfied. He wants to feed Krishna, eat the remnants, etc., etc. These things, when they become natural, one has achieved some steadiness in bhakti. And at that time, there is a concomitant relief of all material suffering. So let's analyze this science for one moment. What we are saying as bhakti yogis and practitioners of Krishna consciousness is that the root cause of unhappiness is not that we can't feel. It's not that we lack affection. It's that the affection is misplaced. So out of ignorance, and we're all born into ignorance, lacking the guru and spiritual master and knowledge of the Vedas, we don't know that affection is meant predominantly for Krishna. This information is not readily available. And as a result, we manifest our love through so many bodily designations, whether it's our own body, the body of a pet, of a loved one, like a mother, a father, a sister, brother, a wife, child, etc., etc. And one might say, that's very harsh. You mean to tell me that as a devotee of Krishna, you shouldn't love your wife, your son, your daughter? No, we're not saying that. What we're saying is love Krishna first, because he's God. And when that love blossoms, then the secondary loves in life are much better understood and appreciated and seen in their proper, and seen in the way that they're meant to be seen. In the day and age that we live in now, they are the be all and end all of most everyone's life. Everyone's life revolves around mundane relationships or the lack of. And that is not healthy for us. When we make Krishna the center and we develop an affection for him, then all the other relationships that we have or desire to have or had are best understood. Okay, there's no better method, no better way of understanding these things than if we develop a love for that personality for whom affection is meant for. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yagya vai Vishnu, all yagya or sacrifice is meant for Vishnu. He doesn't say sacrifice to the demigods or to your parents or to your pet. All action, all love, all giving is meant originally for God. So if you don't want to know God, then don't do that. Just continue in your material lifestyle and see where that gets you. Now, if you are tired and frustrated by the material lifestyle and want more, then follow what Krishna says. Develop an attraction and affection for him, because he is naturally affectionate for his devotees. He is all attractive to his devotees. There is no lack in God at all, not in the slightest bit. It is the supreme, the summum bonum of all loving relationships. So on the one hand, we are criticized when we talk about this idea of detachment. People don't like that. Oh, I can't become detached. That's very difficult. I'm so attached. So when we say become detached, that's a negative. And people run from that. They don't like that. They see how difficult it is to become detached. So Prabhupada and the Gaudiya Vedantas have all encouraged the Kali Yuga man to become attached to Krishna. So it's really a path of nourishment. It's never a matter of don't eat. It's just eat these foods, prepare them for the pleasure of Krishna, and then enjoy them afterward. Now that is really the essence of our process. You don't just prepare a food that you like, because that's not going to help you become attached to God and detached from your own false identity. Instead, prepare the food under the guidance of the spiritual master in the kitchen for Krishna. In this way, think of Krishna. Develop an attraction, just like Mother Yashoda, how she prepared everything nice for Krishna. Radharani, everything nice for Krishna. Okay, that's all. It's not that difficult. And this way, two things happen. A, we develop a genuine affection for God, which is real. And B, we develop a sense of control over our body, which is important because we don't want to be pushed by the body and the demands of the body all the time. We want to be able to control the demand. So when you prepare the food for Krishna, you're thinking of Krishna, you're not trying to enjoy it for yourself, for this false sense of self, okay? You're trying to please Krishna. And that puts you into a particular mood. Wow, I want to please Krishna. This awakens your dormant love of God. This thinking awakens one's dormant proclivity toward a particular ras with Krishna. I want to please Krishna. That is the Godhead. That is the thinking of those in Godhead. We want to emulate that thinking, right? So when we're preparing the food, we're cutting it up, we're putting in nice spices and ghee, and we're thinking how Krishna would enjoy this. This is exactly what Radharani thinks, how Krishna would enjoy this. And that is the original thinking of a God-conscious denizen, which is what we want to become. So we prepare the food, then we get pleasure out of offering it to Krishna. Wow, on the altar, the food is placed, prayers are said, please Krishna, enjoy this. So he comes first. His enjoyment and his pleasure are most important to us. And then when we receive the remnants of that offering and we eat it, we're tasting what Krishna tasted. So again, we continue to think of Krishna. And this is the pleasure that we derive from Krishna consciousness. It is the pleasure of pleasing Krishna. There is a relationship established. The form of the Lord becomes revealed to the devotee, and the devotee relishes thinking of the Lord in that particular form or ras. So Krishna reveals himself to his devotee in that way. The devotee relishes seeing Krishna in that way. And the bhakti grows and grows and grows. And it grows in a way that is anti-material. The body is destined for the dogs. It's destined to die, to be eaten by jackals. Our body is growing older, but the connection that we are developing for Krishna is actually making us younger. So there is a bifurcation, there is a dichotomy between the ordinary growth of the material body and the youthful feeling of Krishna consciousness. The soul is not mundane. It is not subject to the material world. The soul is always in the transcendental position. So it doesn't really grow old. We only think we're growing old if we continue to identify with the body, the seeking of pleasure for our individual body, which we falsely would think is the center of the universe. Yet it's only a thin veneer. And when we discipline the body, use our life air, our energy of life in the service of Krishna, we are able to divorce ourselves from this false, illusory attachment. And we develop a proclivity for going down the road with Krishna, for going into the pastures with Krishna, for grazing and taking care of the cows for Krishna and with Krishna, for waking up Krishna in the morning. All these things that are done in Vrindavan, the daily affairs and life in Vrindavan, become important to us. And lo and behold, that also makes us it brings us into the transcendental kingdom where there is no old age. There's actually nothing but youthfulness. All of the cowherd boys and cowherd girl associates of Krishna are young, very young. And so what a glorious thing for us to feel young, even though where the body's growing older, we are feeling younger due to this bhav. The bhavs are the transcendental emotions that become awoken, in us due to this bhakti, this engagement, this dedication or full sense of engagement in Krishna Lila pastimes. The bhavas that we experience, the bhavas for Krishna are just like, it is comparable, or I should say comparable, in a mundane way to mundane experiences where, let's say you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend and the butterflies you feel in your stomach, those are mundane bhavas, emotions that are heightened. They heighten, they have a very powerful effect on you. And this is also true of the transcendental bhavas that the devotees feel for their Lord. Takes them out of the material thinking, the material realm, places us into the transcendental experience where we relish our life, where it becomes a significant, something we wish to do all day long and never grow tired of it. It's a transference to the transcendence. And what a better lifestyle than what is being offered to us here. What a great way to effortlessly, if you will, leave our mundane thinking. We're not this body, we are associates of Krishna. So we don't have to worry about growing old and eventually dying. We know that we will not die. Devotees who are very fixed in Krishna consciousness actually get revealed to them their own transcendental form so that they can relish the experience of Krishna consciousness in their transcendental body, even though they have a material body, so-called. That is how wrapped up one can become in his Krishna consciousness. And it is the true solution to life's problems. It is not an escape like liquor, alcohol, drugs, sex, mundane attachments, movies, sports, all types of ways of trying to forget the pain and suffering of the material world. Krishna consciousness is not like that. It is a true diversion from the material world. It is what is told to us that we can achieve. It is what is achievable through the practice of yoga. It is the kingdom of God that lies within us that becomes awoken, where we can see it, feel it, taste it, touch it, experience it, become part of that dimension. That is a true bona fide diversion from the material universe. That is a true bona fide diversion. Sometimes people who are very, very absorbed, very unique, absorbed, maybe very intelligent in the material world. They get absorbed in a mathematical formula or an invention or a thought, a vision. They're called visionaries. They become very wrapped up in some vision. And Krishna consciousness is something like that, where we become so enchanted and charmed by the sweetness of Krishna, by the relationship that we could have with him or feel we're having with him, where the Lord reciprocates with his devotee about that particular relationship. That is the true diversion. That is bhakti. That is what we are seeking. And the only reason as Krishna devotees that we don't feel that is because there's still some contamination in our heart. There's still some residual karma. Prabhupada has gone into detail about this. There's some residual karma, meaning we still have some affection for the material world. We haven't yet ripened the fruit of our bhakti. So we are either wanting a relationship in the material world, or we are lamenting over a lost relationship. And those are the only two things that are possible that could be muddying our transcendental, pure consciousness. So when those two items are cleared up, then we can dive very, very deeply into the lake. I like to call it a lake. An ocean is huge, but it's also choppy, whereas a lake is nice and placid. You can dive deep into this lake, and so everyone is either on the platform of lamenting something that they lost in terms of relationship, or hankering for something that they haven't gotten or they want again. And those two items are what keeps the consciousness or the mind busy in the material world. It's important to know that if we will simply surrender ourselves to Krishna and devote ourselves to him, then all the relationships that we had prior, good or bad, and all the relationships that we were intending to have will become, I wouldn't want to say neutralized, but will become satisfied, to the point where we will not hanker or lament for them. Now, that could include any number of things, and I think it's worthwhile to expand on that. Many of us are lamenting over poor relationships with our parents. Many of us lament over a deed that we may have performed which hurt somebody. Many of us are lamenting over a love affair that went wrong, a divorce that went wrong, the poor way we brought up a child. So many endless things. We may have hurt somebody, we may have killed somebody, and we are so much lamenting the act of viciousness that we had at that moment that doesn't seem to be with us now, but we're not sure. Can it rear its ugly head again? Am I fit to be in human society? I've been behind bars. Am I fit now? Can I engage in a normal relationship? What is this unknown factor? This haunts many, many people. Or I was not nice to my wife. I was not nice to my husband. I can't seem to be nice. I can't seem to be nice enough. This is probably the most common experience of lamentation that we have nowadays. If we're attached to a husband or a wife, the shortcomings, or I love my wife and she has cancer and she's dying. So many endless horrible situations like that. And then let's say we may have not resolved an issue with someone, and that person either leaves, we can't get in touch with them, or they die, and then we're not able to get in touch with them. How can Krishna consciousness help me? And believe it or not, it does. If we will surrender to Krishna and make him the foremost in our life and our activity, which is what we're supposed to be doing, our duty, all of the lamentation that we have for past failed relationships, as terrible as they are, as minor, as major, as multitudes of them, all will be understood, forgiven, neutralized, satisfied. This is not a neglect of them. This is a transformation of understanding of them that no psychologist can recommend unless they're devotees of Krishna. Psychologists generally talk about moving on to what? Another failed relationship. Psychology is filled with shortcomings, whereas in Krishna consciousness, psychology is perfected. We have satisfied the effort that we have put out. If we are devotees, we are properly situated. Therefore, by the Lord's mercy, the understanding required for us to deal with these shortcoming relationships is given by the Lord as expressed in the Bhagavad Gita. I, with the the shining lamp of knowledge, with the shining lamp of knowledge, light up the path for my devotees. I awaken that knowledge in them, which means no more misgivings, no more lamentations, and no more hankerings. So, wow. And what psychologist do you know of who can say this to you, who has given you this advice? And there's no need, I want to mention this very important point, as bhaktas of Krishna, Krishna bhaktas, we don't need to see a mundane psychologist in order for us to attain Krishna's association. We don't need to deal with previous trauma through a psychologist in order to clear this away, if you will, so that we can be more effective in our bhakti. In fact, it's just the opposite. Krishna, with his beautiful lotus body and lotus feet, lotus breath, lotus beauty, he wants us to connect to him, to that aspect of him. And by so doing, we become whole, healed. I can't stress this enough. Our consciousness is healed. Just like when Krishna placed his feet on the head of Kaliya, the snake. The snake became free of all sinful reactions. Krishna, that is what Krishna does to those that connect to him. He relieves them of all hankering and lamenting, which is due to sinful reactions, which comes from ignorance, from not devoting and making Krishna the primary focus of our love and attention. We get in trouble, in other words. In the material world, we sidetrack and get into so much trouble. Without Krishna, we become immersed in the jungle of material emotions. We get in trouble. So we extricate ourselves by devoting to Krishna, and then all of the trouble gets relieved. Not just some of it, all of it, on all levels of our consciousness. So there's really no There's nothing in Shastra that says go see a mundane psychologist, get your head shrunk, or I should say, have your problems analyzed, and then chant Hare Krishna, or do both at the same time. It's not what Krishna recommends. He says, chant my holy name, whatever level of life, wherever you're at, he says, whatever ashram, varna, or shankara, whatever, does it make a difference? Chant my name and you become purified. When Mrigari the hunter was killing animals, only half killing them to see the pleasure of seeing them suffer. How much worse can that be? Narada Muni comes down and first tells him to kill the animal completely so it doesn't suffer. And then through his merciful preaching, this Mrigari the hunter became a devotee of Lord Krishna, and then didn't want to even hurt an ant. It was a complete transformation. So that is the scriptural evidence for us to show us that there is no need to go and spend time with a psychologist when we can be chanting Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, sincere effort in our chanting will heal our consciousness 100%, whereas psychology cannot claim to be that as effective. It can only be temporarily effective at best. It is not completely effective to root out the cause, the suffering, the intensity of suffering that we have from different material reactions and situations. We would need to chant the Hare Krishna mantra and cleanse our consciousness, embrace the Lord at some point in our chanting with full heart, full vigor, and then we will be able to see, feel, witness, and experience a complete relief from mental anguish. And not do it again. So often people go to prison and hopefully they say, oh, we're hoping he's reformed. I hope 30, 40 years behind bars is reformation enough. But they may do again a rape or a killing. If we want that complete reformation, total reformation, without going back and doing again what we did, one should chant the Hare Krishna mantra. And if he is successful in chanting and Krishna helps guide and makes the success for the devotee, then the devotee will not again form false material relationships, which are the cause of suffering. There's complete liberation from the ignorance of material life. Devotees can be very compassionate and go on being compassionate more than they've ever been before. They can show compassion, they can show love more than they had before they were Krishna conscious. As a Krishna conscious devotee, we can show so much love to wife, children, teacher, wife of the guru, everyone we can show so much respect and love for. The devotee radiates his love for Krishna. He's not oblivious to the pain and suffering of others. So he genuinely wants to give people Krishna consciousness. If he's a guru, he's compassionate to his disciples. He believes in the power of the mantra. Doesn't have to force his disciples. He encourages his disciples in a loving manner, who are then eager to serve their guru. Doesn't force, doesn't threaten, doesn't yell, doesn't beat, doesn't hurt. Gives nice prasadam, encourages, nice. You're chanting, I'm so happy, blissful, because he knows the power of the mantra, knows the power of God. So the guru knows that there is no other better solution to anyone's life, to anyone's problems, than to develop a divine relationship with Sri Krishna. Enter into the mysteries of the understanding of God, the chosen one, the favored one, the original one. Enter into the understanding, the mysteries. This is what is available to us. This is what is being offered to us. Krishna is always increasing. He's always wonderful. He's always happy. He's always full of joy, because his joy is ever increasing, because transcendental qualities aren't stagnant. And therefore, our love for Krishna also is increasing. There's no question of boredom in Krishna consciousness. There's no question of depression, of mental fatigue, of unhappiness, ever. And this is hard to understand if you are in material frame of mind. It's just something you want to have faith in, that it is at some point, it will be revealed to you how you can experience this dimension where there is no depression, no unhappiness, just pure love. Mind can rest in love for Krishna. The soul wishes to merge as deep as possible into the Ras, the relationship one has with Krishna. Merge into that love. Sometimes you read about the devotees, they're so immersed in Krishna's bodily features, they go unconscious. Just the smell of Krishna's body, his lotus eyes, his overall being is so attractive. It radiates beyond and over and through and around us. It is the supreme vibration. It's filled with all of the love that we are looking for. So fortunate to be a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. So fortunate to have this opportunity to again wake up, chant Hare Krishna. And even when I'm sleeping, maybe I'll wake up and chant Hare Krishna. Every opportunity, Hare Krishna. To remember Krishna, to serve Krishna, to put Krishna to sleep, to wake Krishna up, to offer food to Krishna, to think of Krishna eating, to think of his associates who are feeding him. Endless, endless energy, boundless energy of bhakti. In the material world, you don't have boundless energy. The energy, whatever you have energy for, it's not satisfying. Some people are really good at enjoying the illusion. Some people are really good. They just go on and on and on, and they just seem to have an unlimited appetite. I know people like this. They are very much caught up in the illusion, and they seem to have a really, really big appetite for mundane living. Please don't be fooled by them, and I also pray that they not be fooled. Take your appetite the life, and please give it to Krishna. Don't be fooled by Maya. There is no winning at the mundane game. Everyone is a loser, everyone. But you have this energy. So bhakti is the taking of the individual disciple's energy and placing it in the service of Sri Krishna. And that will bring Atmaram, self-satisfaction. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare, let me see. This way, there it is. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All glories to the lotus feet of the divine Lord Shri Krishna.